It's Friday, fool, and you need this tool. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Beav Brodie Podcast. Today, I have with me none other than the one and only Kyle Voss, YouTuber extraordinaire. He's got a channel called the Fab Forums. He and I get into some really random topics, mostly centered around being a YouTuber and an influencer and some other social media things and just kind of like morals and cool guy stuff. So we're sitting here, we drink some beers, we hang out, we have a good time. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. What up, Kyle?
What's up, brother?
How are you?
Good.
Dude,
glad to be here, man.
I'm so glad you're here.
We tried to make this happen for
a while.
Yeah,
over a year. You know what's really funny is last time you were coming down, you ended up having to come late. There were some unfortunate circumstances, so you came in a little bit late.
You were headed to New York.
Was it New York?
I think
I couldn't remember if I was headed to Asia again, but like it's Saturday, I'm leaving for Asia again. I was like, oh no, we're going to miss each other again. So we've been trying to do this for a long time, and I think it's been a long time in the making. Like, when did you actually discovered me first?
I did.
On Instagram.
Yep.
Back when I was doing cars.
Yep. And then like the second I started following you, no more car content.
I was going to ask kind of when that was.
I was like, what the hell's going on?
You probably found me. You scroll through my feed. You're like, oh, this dude's doing cool shit.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's funny because I wanted to mention this to you a little bit earlier when we were chatting. So then I switched into like business content. More or less.
I don't know. You know, it wasn't one of those things where I was like following every move. I just, I'm one of those where I like to keep my ear to what's going on, just to kind of have
kind of a finger on the pulse of what's happening.
Finger on the pulse of what's going on. So I'd kind of search people out. I think I ran into something you had done, and I realized that you were in South Carolina. I'm like, hey, that's even better.
Yeah.
Right? Got a local guy here. Started following you, and then like almost instantly, maybe it was at the VW bus or something. I had seen some content on, or maybe Rat Raw. I don't know what it was, but instantly, like, he started changing the content. Obviously, it was good enough where I wasn't like, all right, I'm done with this dude.
Right. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And then,
thanks for not unfollowing me.
Yeah.
What's funny is,
let me re-follow it. No,
no, what's funny is when I saw that, because, that channel for me is pretty small. There's only like 4,300 subscribers. And then at that point, it was probably 3,000 something followers. And so you tend to see who follows you.
Yeah.
And, even on your Instagram, you see a follow, you're like, who's this?
Yep. I looked at all that stuff.
I saw you and I was like, oh, who's this? Oh, that's cool. And then I think I probably found your way to your YouTube channel. But what I wanted to say was, you talked about my content changing. And I struggle with that on my personal channel. And I talked with Manspot about this too. And it's like, I had an audience there for car stuff and for fab stuff and for guns and like cool guy shit.
Yep.
And then I got away from the car stuff, and I've been so busy with my business that like I don't really play with guns like I used to. Like I still love them, and you guys can see them back here behind me.
Don't play with cars like you used to.
I don't play with cars. I still have my shop, but I don't have time. But my life revolves around my most recent business, and I've gotten so much knowledge about that, and I'm very passionate about it. So I'm creating content around that. But the audience that was there for car stuff, like they don't care.
Yeah.
They just wanted to see like what I was building or making or shooting or whatever. So I've really struggled with like that crossover, and I've very often contemplate whether I should just start a whole nother page on Instagram for that. But I'm afraid because it's like so hard.
I'm not a believer in that. And we kind of touched on this a little bit before, but we can even talk about it more now. I'm a believer in creating content around you, whatever that is.
Right. It's a personal.
You're following, the people will find you. They're interested in what you're doing. And the great thing about that is no matter what you do,
they'll be along for the ride.
They're going to be along for the ride.
Yeah.
Versus being niche-y. I've actually thought about changing all my stuff from the Fab Forums.
Really?
To Kyle Voss. I know. I haven't done it yet, but
interesting.
I've really thought about it because I think I do a pretty good job about people knowing who I am, like the Friday videos.
Yep.
It's Friday, fool. I do, welcome. What is it? How does it go? Welcome back to another glorious episode of It's Friday, Fool. my name is Kyle Voss. Like I would open up with that. So,
well, you know, what's really interesting is because the first time that we had talked, and I think we exchanged phone numbers at some point, you called me and you're like, hey, it's Kyle Voss. I'm like, who the hell's Kyle Voss? Because I didn't know your name. I just knew Fab Forums. And you're like, oh, it's Fab. And I was like, oh, right. I feel like an idiot now.
But what it comes down to, I think, is if you're going to build a brand, do you want to build a personal brand or do you want to build a brand around a name? For me, the name doesn't mean anything. Matter of fact, I think it actually...
Like the Fab Forums?
I think it actually confuses some people. They're like, what the hell's a forum? You know, some,
right.
especially the younger generation. Like,
yeah. Well, let's back up a little bit. Before we get into it, let's give the audience some context of who you are, what you do, and all that stuff. They've heard a little bit in the intro, but kind of take us back a little bit. Like, so Kyle has a YouTube channel. Is what he's most known for is your YouTube channel, which has 220 something,
250 something, I think now.
250,000 subscribers. He's built a sizable YouTube channel, just doing what he likes to do and just all around fabrication, around
most of it,
mostly automotive fabrication and some vlogs and things of that nature.
Which I haven't done as many of those as I used to.
But I think it'd be interesting to segue as you talk about more kind of personal brand, like Kyle Voss versus the Fab Forums. Anyways, interesting thought. But so that's why he's on the show. I wanted to talk to him more about the YouTube channel and like what he's done and how he's gotten to where he's gotten. And hopefully you guys get some knowledge along the way. So how did the Fab Forums start?
Yeah.
Take us back. When and where and how did all this get started?
It's all an accident, really.
Really?
I mean,
I find that the best things happen on accident.
For sure. I'm a firm believer in...
Like my second daughter.
Yeah. Listen, I just had one of those myself.
That one wasn't an accident.
No, I just had one of those myself, so...
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on that. That was, what, a few months, 6 months ago?
No, he's 4 months.
4 months, okay.
20 pounds. Like, he's huge.
Dang.
Yeah, we've grown big.
Beast.
Yep, country boy.
Yeah, here in the South.
So
anyways...
I've always been a mover. Like I've always got to be like creating something new, doing something. I'm sure you relate to that. A lot 100%. Of viewers probably relate to that. And I'm a firm believer in don't necessarily try to figure out the exact thing. Just start moving.
Take your idea.
Whatever it is. Your
passion, whatever you love. Just start doing something.
Start doing something. Just start moving. As you move, you figure out, you'll see the path. You know, whether that's...
Things evolve, and that's okay. You don't have to stick to like the original. I think we had, unfortunately, I'll break the secret. We chatted for so long before this, and we were like, no, why did we talk about all that? But what we talked about was like so many people kind of stay rigid with their idea and like, no, it has to be this. This is what it's going to be. And they're not willing to be like flexible with that idea and let it kind of evolve into something else.
Right.
So go ahead.
So, yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, I think that you should never really be set in stone. You should never be so in love with one thing that you're not going to change because you'll lose. You need to kind of morph. You need
Open
to move.
mind.
Yeah, you need to watch what your consumer, if it's a consumer-based business or whatever, you need to kind of follow that. You need to follow your consumers, kind of see where they're going.
Listen for feedback.
Yes. If it's, a social thing, if you're trying to be an influencer or a travel vlog, whatever it is, you need to kind of move with that, right? Opportunities are going to arise. Things are going to change. Don't be so focused on one thing that you miss out on everything else. So for me, I've always kind of been that. I've always been like a mover, trying all kinds of different things. Most don't work, which is good. That's the way it should be.
Dude, failure is really cool. You learn a lot from it. Like if all you ever did is win, like if that all that happens for you, you don't learn. You just like,
Listen,
it's
if all you do is ever win, you're a unicorn because it don't happen.
Right. But if you only do things that you are certain you're going to win on, I don't know. I just think there's something great about failing and like, okay, learning from that, evolving, changing, whatever the case is. Sure. And then you can make better informed decisions. But don't be afraid to fail. I guess the big point of it is don't be afraid to lose and look at the positive side of it and move on. Don't dwell on the failure.
I think from the outside looking in, so many people just see winners. But in reality, behind the curtain, all those people have a ton of failures. That help
everybody.
That helps them win.
There's a reason that they call it like failing your way to success. Nobody just goes from zero to hero without some failures along the way.
If you can wrap your head around that, it's a powerful thing. Like you just take those as learning lessons. So anyway, I've always been a mover. 2010, I guess it was. Forums were really big. Automotive forums, turbo
remember
forums.
That back when dinosaurs roamed the earth?
Yep, long time ago. Probably shows a little bit of my age.
Which, go ahead. Sorry.
No, so
we're gonna go off on so many tangents.
I know. We just gotta like get it out. And then,
Yeah.
So some of you guys are probably familiar with like Yellow Bullet, which is actually still around. But back in 2010, forums were the thing. That's where everybody went for automotive, for fixing things.
For some of you who may not even know what forums are, depending on how old you are, forums are like pre-social media. It was a website you would go to that was like very niche based. So he's talking about things that were like websites that were very niche to a specific vehicle. Maybe it was just Mustangs, or maybe it was just turbos, or maybe it was just welding.
Yep.
And people would have conversations. It was like a social network on one website just about that topic.
Yep. And then what would happen was it wouldn't be real time. So I see them still on like IT technical style. Like if you just search like my printer won't print because whatever, most of the time that's going to take you to a forum. And then people are going to post why they think that doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. Sometimes from start to finish, that might be like 2 years worth of input.
Information.
Yeah.
All under that one topic.
All under that one topic.
That exact printer isn't going to work, and then people giving input to that, whether an experience they had or, hey, maybe you should try this.
How to fix it.
Or whatever. Right. Yep.
So take that, put it in the automotive industry. There'll be technical stuff within the forum. There might be segments where it's just build stuff. And so what I used to do is I'd go on these forums and I'd look at like these build projects, and you would literally see it start to finish. And it might be 2 or 3 years that it took, but over the progress of that build, people would post pictures and comments and show you what they did and didn't do and whatnot. And I used to love that. Like I would post my own little things on there, and I would kind of watch other people's builds, and I thought it was cool. And the problem was that the forums were very specific. So you might have like a Mustang forum. There's only Mustang stuff. Or you might have, a turbo forum, and there's only turbo stuff. You couldn't see everything in one spot. And so I was like, you know what?
As far as the builds were concerned.
As far as, just the variety of content.
Got it.
Build specific. You kind of have that now. I think there's one called Build Threads. Somebody started a company or a thing called Build Threads, and I think that's kind of what it is. But back in 2010, there was nothing like that. I was like, I'm going to create that. Forums are pretty easy. They're open platforms type deals. So I started a forum called the Fab Forums, and it was all about fabrication. It had sections just for turbos. It had sections just for blowers. It had, if you were into road racing, if you were into drag racing, whatever it was, you could post your stuff in there, and there was a community that was around that specific thing. Created that, and 2010 YouTube was more of like a place to host content.
Right.
So you didn't have YouTubers.
Right. Yeah. You would post your video to YouTube and embed that video into your post on your forum.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. So you'd post the video on YouTube. It would basically host it for you. You'd take an embed link. You'd put that on the forum, and then that video would magically appear within that post. And so really that's all I used YouTube for, was I'd make little videos, put them on YouTube, and then embed them on the forum. And that was my primary focus, was to have the videos on the forum, not necessarily do anything with YouTube.
Right. And you would type something up too, like, hey, this is the project I'm working on. I did this. Just a video.
I think back then I just put the video.
Really?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I don't even know that they had like tags, like hashtags and all that stuff back then.
Sure. Hell no.
Whatever. So,
hashtags didn't come until like Twitter.
Well, I guess hashtags not the right word. Just tags in general. I only know they had tags in general.
Right. It was more just the SEO game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
maybe
you could search the forums for things, right?
Right. But I'm talking about like on YouTube. Like I don't even know that it had. I don't think I put anything. I don't even think I put a description. Maybe like
just a title. Probably.
Well, and the title was probably more for me to recognize what it was.
Right.
Like video number 3. And that was like the title. You know what I'm saying? So I knew which order to put them in there, but like it had nothing to do with what I was doing in the video itself.
That's so funny.
So I don't know. Maybe it was better than that, because it did gain a little bit of traction over the years. And
I'm sure it was probably like welding this video 3.
Yeah. So long story short,
that way people didn't confuse it with all the cat videos.
That was the thing. Yeah. So yeah, I created the forum. It was doing pretty well. It was, you know, I was getting traffic, and I had this big plan of doing the Google banner ads, and, you know, I was going to try to make it like a little business. I was like trying to sell ads to people and whatever. It didn't work. It wasn't doing very well. Anybody that ever played in that.
Well, here's what's interesting though, is you knew that there was the potential for community and revenue on ads and all this stuff, by gaining the attention and the eyeballs of people. So it was really interesting for you to, you know, like kind of have that idea, you know, like, not that you were the first, you didn't pioneer forums, but like you understood the concept of like attention.
Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't solely about attention. I felt like it was a passion of mine. I really enjoyed doing. I felt like I could create a community, and I felt like I could create something that was missing, you know? And then the second half of that was like, you know, maybe I can make a little money.
Right. Of course. Who's not looking for that angle?
I can buy car parts or, you know, whatever. Definitely wasn't thinking I could do anything full time, for sure. So was doing that, was creating content for the forums, hosting it on YouTube, was not paying attention at all to subscribers, views, none of that stuff.
Strategy, none of that.
It wasn't even a thing. I mean, in my eyes, it wasn't even a thing. And so, did that. I think that was started 2010. I did that for like 2 years probably. And I would actually make videos advertising the forums on YouTube. So I made like these little commercials, and it'd be like a bunch of pictures. And then it'd be like, at the end, it'd be like,
fabforums.com.
Post your own builds here, fabforums.com, you know, whatever.
Awesome. So
I was trying to drive traffic to the forums because that's what I thought I needed to be doing.
It was smart.
Yeah.
Did it work?
No. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it worked a little bit.
Maybe a few people.
But
did you have a bunch of users on the forum?
Yeah. Yeah. So I did
Maybe it was working.
I don't know if they came from YouTube though or not. I surely as hell wasn't tracking that stuff back then.
No.
You know, I had no idea.
Do you have any idea how many users you had?
Yeah. And I used to get, so within the forum itself, you could track like page views, and I would do 100,000 a month probably. Active users, I think, was in the thousands. I don't know. I can't remember. It's been so long ago.
Right.
And man, I wish I had that email list still today, because, you know, they'd have to put their email in.
That's right.
But I've since, this forum's been long
Gone.
gone. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Oh man, if
I know,
you had that,
I know.
so good.
Especially the old ones. Like,
I mean,
could be instant subscribers.
right.
They recognize the name already.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was trying to drive traffic to the forums because I thought that's what I needed to be doing.
Which you did. I mean, it was the right mentality.
It probably drives some. So 2012, Facebook is starting to just blow up, right? And people aren't on forums anymore. They're posting their life on Facebook.
Right.
And some of those are car builds, right? And then you get the groups that come along with Facebook, and now they're
Facebook
posting.
groups started to flourish and become a thing.
So now you're posting your projects on Facebook versus on a forum. Forums were kind of clunky.
They were very basic.
Had to have a PC.
Yeah.
And then the whole embed thing. So like if you did a video, it had to go here, and then you had to embed the link.
This wasn't like a mobile friendly type platform.
Pictures were the same way. So I like Photo Bucket. Like I dump all my pictures in Photo Bucket. Then you'd like take the links,
yeah,
post them on the forum itself, and it would like populate the picture within the forum. So it was kind of clunky. It wasn't very easy. Facebook started making things very streamlined, and
killed forums.
I mean, some of them are still around. You know, people that like to talk junk, and like there's still a place for that, but not the Fab Forums.
When Facebook brought groups out, it really killed forums. And do you have a Facebook group?
No.
Dude.
I know.
It might be a thing.
I know.
Anyways, I mean, there's so many things that we should all be doing that you were like, I know, but I don't have time.
Yeah.
Like it's another.
I mean, I guess I kind of do, because
to manage.
My Facebook page is kind of my group, but I don't have an official group.
Group is interesting because there's a lot of good things. Like we've got a group for Tactical Baby Gear, and like when you make a post in there, it sends notifications to everybody. You know what I mean? Like,
do you have like a for sale? Like,
no, I try not to be transactional in that group.
No,
it's
no,
more of a community.
I'm talking about like where people like, you know, you have a child that's out of that age, and you could sell your used bag.
We've had some people do that, but some of those people, I had to kind of shut down some of that sort of stuff because people were trying to sell other stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I don't think I had to moderate that and kind of make that a rule.
Yeah, it could be a mess.
But I've seen plenty of people selling our stuff used on like other eBays and things like that. But
so
anyways,
so forums were dying, and I kind of held on for a while, trying to salvage that.
It was your baby. Yeah.
It was kind of my baby, but I was never really ultra attached to it. Meanwhile, I had no idea, but YouTube was actually growing really fast. And like I said, I didn't pay attention to anything. Subscribers, views, none of that stuff, right? I just jumped over there one day and I was like, oh man, I got like 1,200 subscribers. That's cool.
Like, no way.
Yeah. Still never read a comment. Had no idea. I think the first couple videos I did too were like some carbon fiber stuff. So they were great keywords back then too. So it was probably getting a lot of views.
Did you have videos with tons of views?
Yeah. So like some of my earliest videos are still some of my best videos today.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
And like carbon fiber kind of stuff.
Yeah. And then back then too, nobody was doing any carbon fiber. Now it's more.
Well, it was gaining popularity in the DIY side.
It was very popular, the word, but like content wise, nobody had it.
Right.
Because it was so foreign. Everybody thought you had to have like an autoclave and all that, whatever.
Right. Or you had to be NASA or something.
Yeah. So I think that, I kind of controlled that niche for a long time. Now you got like Kionisek posting videos about their carbon fiber wheels on YouTube. And so there's a lot more of that stuff out there. Back then there was nobody. And so, I think those were doing pretty good. And that's probably where those subscribers came from, I guess. So anyway, long story short, forum started dying. I realized that probably where I needed to be was on YouTube and not, on the forums.
Not trying to save your forum.
Right. I left the forum for a while. Excuse me. Just because.
You get the beer burps?
I know, man.
So do I. I almost could use another one. Hey, Ryan.
Yeah.
He just like jumps out of his desk. Can you grab me that other beer over there?
So
how you doing over here?
I'm good. That's good. That's like an 8-point-something%. Too, so,
cool. You better be careful with that thing.
That's why I brought one.
Thank you, sir.
So where was I? I don't even.
Moving over to YouTube because the forum is dying.
Yeah. So YouTube's doing pretty good. And I don't know my exact dates, but like 2012 is what I'm guessing. YouTube does this thing called, I think they just bought YouTube. Maybe Google just bought YouTube around then.
Yeah.
And they started the partner program where they're going to actually place ads on your videos and pay you for them.
Right.
And I was like,
and that was probably that was kind of like second part of Google AdWords was Google AdSense.
Yeah.
Yep. So they could place ads. Yeah.
I was like, cool. What? You can make money? I get to sign up for this thing. Maybe I can make a couple bucks. And so I signed up for the partner program, and I think the first month I like made $100, and I flipped my shit. I don't know if you can tell something.
Yeah.
I flipped my lid. I'm like, what? $100?
Like, this is amazing.
That's like half of a car payment.
Pay my cell phone bill.
Whatever, yeah. Well, back then, hell, we had flip phone.
Yeah.
I think I had a BlackBerry or something. We didn't. So anyway, I was like, this is cool. This is more. So there was a financial side of the forums where I felt like I could make some money, and I made more money the first month on YouTube than I ever made on the forum. I wasn't making any. I was trying to drive traffic. It wasn't like a booming business or whatnot. Right. And so I was like, man, that's cool, And so I was like, maybe I need to look at this more as a business. I didn't really do anything though for a little while. I started posting more videos. I started to try to make the content a little bit better. Still never really got that serious. And then 2014-ish, I was like, I need to take this serious. I think I had about 8,000 subscribers at the time. It started to get to that point. The revenue was starting to grow a little bit. The viewership was starting to grow, and I could see more of a community around comments. And 2012, YouTube wasn't a place where you went and watched a YouTuber. It's more of like a search, and then you found something, you watched it, but you didn't really treat it like
subscribing to channels like you were going to watch it like
I
TV.
guess you subscribed to it just so you could go back and find that person later on if you wanted to. You didn't subscribe to it because you treated it like a TV show.
Right.
2014, that started to change though. People started treating stuff more like TV shows.
Well, it became like another sense of reality TV with a lot of vloggers, and then And then content really started shifting into like high quality content.
Yeah.
And people started taking it seriously, even just in the past 2 years, where like big brands, and then you get guys like Will Smith and other celebrities and movie stars that are like making their own videos on this platform.
We'll get into that because I've got like a thesis on YouTube versus mainstream TV and what's going to happen. And I can like 3 sentences I can explain to you why the TV is the worst business model ever compared to YouTube.
Right.
But so 2014, I think I got 8,000 subscribers. I see the change, right? I kind of see that there's an opportunity there. I'm like, I'm gonna take this a little more serious. Not necessarily make a TV show out of it because I didn't want to be that guy. Like I see so many people that try to make a TV show.
Trying too hard.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. I wanted it to be very relatable and just me be like the guy next door type, just show you what I'm doing.
Right.
I felt like some of the stuff I was doing, a lot of
to
people.
give you guys context too of what he's talking about, like he started his change. He's like just building cool stuff in his garage at home, like nothing real fancy. He's like the garage, like mine and yours and everyone else's garage, and he's just like building a Mustang or building this.
I was the student that just barely got through school because it just bored me to tears.
Same here. I was a terrible student.
Terrible student. Not necessarily because I was a terrible student because I didn't apply myself. Plain and simple.
Right.
I was the guy.
We're just like,
I was the guy that's in class like drawing the hot rod I'm going to build.
I've seen some of those drawings.
Yeah. So I'm just now building all the stuff I dreamed of as a freshman math class, 9th grade. That's what I'm building now. Like all the stuff I'm like, one day I'm gonna do this. Now I can do it.
Like the Bibster.
Yep. I had that in my head forever. It wasn't necessarily a Fox body build.
I remember seeing some of those drawings. So you did a whole video on it, like why I'm building the Bibster, which I think is really cool that a lot of it is now honoring your friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of it's kind of like meshed with that.
Yeah.
It's based on your original concepts.
So for those that don't know, the Bibster is what I call my modern day hot rod.
It's wild.
So I've always been like, not a hot rod guy so much, but I've always kind of liked that culture. And I always wonder why nobody does that anymore. Like, why doesn't people cut up cars? Back in the Model A days, they would take and chop the top and get rid of the fenders.
Well, there's still like a pretty strong rat rod community.
There is around that same car though.
Right.
Like nobody takes like
Fox body.
It's never left that car.
Yeah.
It's never left like the Model A's and stuff. Like the hot rods are still built out of those cars, right?
Right.
Why doesn't anybody do that to modern day cars? I know why. I know what the answer is. And that's because you can't do an open wheel, which is the cool look, with a modern day car. It looks weird.
Right.
If you take a car that is standard.
You're trying to accomplish this.
Yes.
Though, and it looks cool.
If you take a car that's standard width and then just make open wheels on it, but the wheels are behind the body, it looks stupid.
Yeah, because the doors, everything's so wide.
It looks dumb.
Yeah.
So what I did is I was like, coming through high school, I was a Fox body fan. That's like my age. That was my era, right? Had a couple Fox bodies. And so when it came time to actually put this idea in play, the Model A was like, they produced 5 trillion of those things and it was a super popular platform. I'm like, that's the Fox body. 5 trillion of them, right?
Super popular, yeah.
It was super popular of its time. Dime a dozen. I'm like, yes, we're cutting up a Fox body. I'm pissing people off. It's the first thing they said too. How you cut up a great car? I'm like, this, whatever. So anyway,
they're a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
I can go buy another one for like 500
and
bucks.
it was not a nice car. It probably looked good on camera. Awful car.
Right.
But to make it happen, to make it have the proper look, I took 8 inches out of the center of it.
Did you?
Yeah. So it's, it's like a Cessna. You're like sitting in the cockpit of a.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. And 4 inches out of the top.
He sectioned it.
Yep. I cut the whole floor out, but yeah, the top section has been sectioned in 8 inches. Because I want to keep the proportions of it similar. And that's why you got 4 out of the top, 8 out of the center. You kind of get that.
So it's just like shrunk down, like 30%.
Yep. And then the rear end is an 8.8. I have a Fox body, so the width of the wheels, the tracking width is factory, even though it looks like it hangs out. That's why you get that look. So anyway, I know where I was going. So anyway, that's the Bibster. The Bibster is my modern day hot rod. It's basically a Fox body Mustang, like an 89.
Right. That was my fault. I'm so bad about interrupting and going like way out in left field. But you were talking about remaining relatable on your channel. You didn't want to start a TV show on YouTube.
Correct. I just want to show people what I was doing. I felt like it was some one person out there might like what's going on with it.
Of course.
And so I was kind of creating that content. Started getting pretty serious, like 2014. I was like, man, this could actually be something. Tried to get a little more focused on, you know, actually making the edits not painful. Like, you know, some of the stuff I created in early days was super painful to watch. You know, still I go back and look at it.
It's like roll your eye. You just cringe. You're like, oh.
Yeah, but I leave it out there because I want people to see, like, hey, man, you don't, you know, not that my stuff's ultra great, but like there is definitely a progression to everything you do. And I'm not going to hide that from you. You can go back and look at the very first videos I made.
I think it's really cool to watch like old stuff. Like it wasn't that long ago I was watching Marquez, you know, MKBHD.
Yep.
And I saw a video of his from like 8 years ago.
That would be cool to go back. I need to go search that because that'd be cool to watch.
Dude, he's like 15 years old in his bedroom at his mom's house, but he's the same person.
Got like dirty laundry in the background.
Dude, he's the same person. And it's like a webcam on the top of his computer. Like, but that was like the quality that, you know what I mean? Like it was, but he's the same. Hey guys, MKBHD here. And it's like the same thing. That goes back
to move though, right? Do something and just keep moving.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
And he's evolved and he's progressed and he's like, and it's like anything else. But, you know, it's funny. I just made a video the other day and I put out super raw, like unedited, one clip from my cell phone from the gym the other day. And just talking about like kind of the analogy of like working out with business and like how none of it business is just like working out, right? Like just like creating a channel.
The magic, what was it?
The secret sauce.
Secret sauce, yes.
The secret sauce, which is sort of clickbaity, but it worked because it's doing well. But like, it's just like, you know, you're out of shape, you're fat, and you need to get in shape. There's no secret sauce to like, oh, there's magic pill that's going to, tomorrow you're going to be poof, you're going to be in great shape or to lose all this fat or whatever. And it's no different from starting a channel or business or anything else. Like you have to keep showing up to the gym and working out. And there's different facets to it. You can't just like curl heavy stuff. Your biceps get huge and your gut's still fat. Like you have to do, you know, upper body, lower body, core, back, that, cardio. There's so many different things to pay attention to and to keep working at for it all to work together.
One of my favorite sayings that kind of sums all that up, and you know, Jeb Greenstone, Color Specialties, builds the Model A's from scratch. Like he doesn't drag nothing out of a field. Like he literally hand forms every
entire thing.
Panel, chassis.
Good for him.
I've done videos with him before. He's awesome.
Awesome.
He makes his wheels, makes his steering wheels, makes everything
from scratch. Does he sell them?
Yeah.
How much?
I don't know. That's a
couple $100,000.
Lots. Not enough.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they are, but not enough.
I know.
And most of them are commissioned. Most of them are like customers he's had before, and he builds. I'll show you some pictures when we get off. You'll be like, holy shit. But
yeah.
So anyway, I was up there one day working with him, and he was like, everybody wants to be a gangster, but nobody wants to do gangster shit. And I'm like,
yes.
I'm like,
dude,
that's
I
it.
love that.
You could put whatever words in there you want. Everybody wants to be a YouTuber, but they don't want to do YouTube stuff. Like if you want to be a YouTuber, you better be cranking out videos. You want to be a bodybuilder, you better be lifting some weights.
Right.
Everybody wants to be a gangster. Nobody wants to do gangster shit.
I love that.
I know. It sums everything up. It's
I'm
exactly
using that for the intro to this video.
Yeah, it's exactly what you were saying though.
It is. It's exactly. You have to actually, you have to, what's the word I'm looking for? You have to like actually do the actions that map to what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. And I mean, you could apply it to any place in your life. You're not going to get good grades unless you study.
Right.
Unless you just, most likely you're not going to get very good grades.
There's unicorns out there.
There's, and that's in every aspect too, I guess. But no matter what you do, you got to put in the work.
And be super patient and realize that results don't happen tomorrow.
And it's a long road.
Yeah.
So
anyways, back to like getting your YouTube channel off the ground. And you were about 2014, I think we were at.
Yeah. So 2014, I'm like, I'm going to start treating this like something. Like a business. Was never the person though. So even though I was gaining a little bit of traction, like I was never the person that wanted to try to sell myself to somebody. I'm like, you know what? My philosophy from the beginning was try to be everywhere where people can't ignore me when it comes to brands and stuff like that. Because just in the last, 3 or 4 years, you start getting where people are using some influence to make money through other brands doing business. I mean, that wasn't the thing back then.
No.
Nobody ever did that.
No, I mean, influencer marketing is a very new marketing style and tactic.
And I think it'll have this kind of.
It is. I think it's kind of almost on the downside a little bit because everyone wants to be an influencer. So everybody's trying to charge money to make something, but the value isn't there. And a lot of businesses are seeing that as
no conversion.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
And we're not going to do it. So it's going to make other people that actually have value suffer.
Yeah. Or
bring the price down probably a little bit for some.
Or there's like a jadedness to it. The brands don't want to be a part of.
True.
Right. Because so many people don't do it the right way. And then people get jaded by influencers, like, you know, and then you don't want your brand associated with ex-influencer who's not doing it the right way. So, I mean, I think there's going to be that too, but
it'll work itself out.
It will. So never, ever though, even when I felt like there was an opportunity there to maybe create a business outside of YouTube, did I ever like pursue that? Like I never went to anybody and said, hey, look, I'll have your stuff on the channel. I was like, you know what? That's not how I'm going to do it. There's brands I would love to work with because I believe in them, and I'm just going to try to be so big they can't ignore me. That's kind of my philosophy from the beginning, and still today I don't.
You don't reach out to anybody?
Nobody. I probably leave a lot on the table because
a lot of people reach out to you?
No. Well, let me take that back. A lot of people reach out to me that I have no interest working with. So it's like, oh, nope. I'm not even going to reply.
Got it. This stuff that you think is it's not your brand. It's not for you. And
it's so funny because when those emails do come through and it's that brand I always wanted to work with, and I'm like, yes, I've been waiting on you for 5 years, whatever. Which is funny because, there is some backlash on, oh, the only reason you're talking about that brand is because they gave it to you or whatever. I'm like, yeah, but for 5 years I wanted to work with that brand long before they ever contacted me.
Right.
Now, and I've been using their stuff for, whatnot. So anyway, back to where we was at. I started looking at it like I maybe could make this into something, at least kind of maybe finance the dreams that I had of building the things I want. Right. So it wasn't about even making a full-time living. It's more about like, hey, I want to build this Bibster thing, and it's going to take a lot of resources to do that. Maybe I can make just enough money to kind of offset the cost of building this thing.
Right. Get YouTube to finance my car.
Yeah. And not have it to come out of my pocket. And so yeah, that's kind of how it rolled.
And that just continued to build. You just kept treating it sort of like a business and making videos.
Yeah, and if you go back and look at some early content, like I'm making small stuff because I didn't have any funds, right? I'm making a little something. I don't know, a bottle opener. I've done a bunch of little tiny quirky stuff because that's all I could afford.
Okay, before I get into kind of modern day where you're at now with YouTube, where did you learn on your skills? Your fab stuff? Self-taught? You didn't go to school for it or anything like that?
I'm really good at like watching people. Like I can watch somebody do something.
If it's something you're passionate about, you just absorb it like a sponge.
Pretty good. And I can literally, they don't have to like teach me. Like Jeb, for instance, the guy we were just talking about. I can go up to his place, watch him do a couple things, him not say, hey, look, this is how you do this.
But I can understand what's happening.
I can understand what's happening, and I can look at it and go, oh, that makes senst now.
Something clicks in your head. You're like,
yep,
got it.
Got it. And so then I can go back and put my hands on something and make it happen. Weldings like that,
What'd you do before all the fab stuff, before you were doing what you're doing now?
I'd work on my own cars. We were into drag racing.
Even for a living, what were you?
I've been in the IT world for the last 7-8 years. Before that, I was actually in management. Like I worked for a medical equipment company. I managed several other locations, which is the worst thing ever. Management sucks. It's awful. I hated it. Obviously, I was pretty good at it because they kept giving me more and more and more, but I hated it with a passion.
Right.
So when it worked out where I could move on from that, I'd see ya. I was gone.
Right. So IT to Fab Forums. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, I've always been into creating though. In general, like whether it's creating a business, an app, a website, a car, creation in general is
starting from something and ending with nothing.
I truly believe
Dude, it's the best. And I talked about this in a couple of podcasts ago. And there's a guy named Cody Warner. Are you familiar with Cody Warner?
I'm very familiar with Cody.
He's no small creator.
Let me tell you what happened. I was in Nashville a couple weeks ago, and he was there.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, he was. Really? Yeah, and I hit him up, and I was like, because my thing is, we can get into this too, as far as people not wanting to collab. Like I struggle with that, and it's like a thing I don't understand. But anyway, he just happened to be there the same time I was, and I don't know. He probably doesn't.
Is this in an event or something?
He was there. He'd had like a meet and greet, and he was doing some kind of filming or something, doing some pictures. I don't know why he was actually there, but
anyways,
I was like, this is a cool opportunity to collab with him.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Yeah, and I felt like, you know, I'm one of those, like I have no issue. So YouTube in general, there's no competition for viewership, in my opinion. I think there's enough to go around. You know, if somebody subscribes to you, they don't have to unsubscribe to me in order to follow you.
Right.
They can do both. So there's not like no competing. Like some people don't want to.
Well, there's like guys that do, let's use tech reviews, for example. There's a bunch of channels that do very similar content, and a lot of people subscribe to all of them.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's it's like
no competition.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, there's this mentality that if I help him, so I'll give you kind of an example, and we're kind of getting off tangent a little bit too, but it's pretty important because I think it's one of those things that people don't really realize. But when I was coming up, you know, 10,000 subscribers, whatever, I would hit somebody up that had way more than me, and I'd be like, hey, you know, I'd love to do a collaboration with you. Let's get together. They didn't want nothing to do with me because I didn't have the same following they had. They felt like there had to be an exchange there of equal. Mm-hmm. And I don't.
You're a smaller channel.
I've never looked at it like that. I don't care how big you are. If I feel like you're putting in the work,
well, if you want to view it that way, it would almost be like what you and I have going on. Like, I don't have a freaking huge social presence as a personal brand, which is what this is all on. Tactical Baby Gear does, and you've got a huge. But it has us being together has literally nothing to do with number of followers or subscribers or anything.
If I can leave here and your personal brand gains 50,000 subscribers, I'd be so happy because I know that they're not going to necessarily leave me to go do that. Right?
Right.
And you're creating.
But it has nothing to do with the amount of subscribers. It's like you and I have built a relationship.
People see it as an exchange. They feel like they need that in order for me to work with you, you have to be just as valuable as I am. Valuable meaning subscribers, which is not, that's a different story because it has nothing to do with the amount of subscribers you have. Because you can have a shitload and get no views. Or you can have just the opposite. You can have
so many people focused on the number of followers and subscribers they have. And I've been preaching this for years. I would rather have 1,000 subscribers that would all purchase something from me
or
than
just
have
a
million subscribers that wouldn't buy anything.
You'd rather have 1,000 that would come watch your videos, maybe even watch the same video twice because they love what you did so much versus 500,000 where 500 people showed up.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's about the community too. Like if you can get people, so, you know, this kind of goes back to like personal brand versus like where I've thought about changing my name and whatever, because, you know, it's not about, it's people that I want people to be interested in what I'm doing, not necessarily just how to bend a piece of metal or how to weld this weld or, you know, whatever. Mm-hmm. I want people to be like, I don't care what Kyle's doing. I'm tuning in because I dig what he does.
There's a lot of people out there like that. So I think it's smart.
Yeah.
For you to do that. For the long play. It might be weird up front, and I think you have to kind of like prep your audience for that. You
have to prep your audience, and then you're still, no matter what, you're always going to get that backlash where people just want to see the technicals, right? They're not there to like see you and your family. But the battle that I make is I'm like, you know what? I don't care because I don't make this content. I make this content for the people that like it. Mm-hmm. Right? That's the kind of mindset I have. Is like if you don't like
yourself.
Yeah. If you
like this is the content you want to make.
If you don't like this content, I didn't make it for you. That's the way I approach it.
Yeah.
So I make it for those that like it. Mm-hmm. So so when somebody doesn't like what I do, it doesn't bother me any because I didn't make it for that person anyway.
Right.
I made it for the people who want to see what I'm doing on a.
YouTube has done a decent job with having different series, like almost like playlists. Have you seen that? Are you able to do series?
I have not figured out how to do that, but I know like Hoonigans do that.
Do they do that?
They have. Or they used to. I think they broke it up into a bunch of different channels now, but they had it to where.
Well, because it was nice because when you see a notification or something that pops up or even in your feed, it's like, you know that this video is from that series.
Yeah.
That's the series from that channel you're interested in.
Yeah.
Or maybe this is a series you're not interested in, you just skip by.
Well, I think there's a fine line of being, you want you want something that's clickbaitish because you want it to do well, but you also want it to be descriptive enough where somebody can not watch it if it's not going to pertain to what. So for me, like if it's like the Bibster build, it literally says making, more panels on the Bibster. And if all you're there for is the Bibster, then when I make a video that says, hanging out at Tactical Baby Gear, you're not going to watch it if you're not into doing whatever I'm doing. Right. So I try to it's
relevancy.
I try to be
relevant to the title needs to be relevant to the video. Otherwise, let's talk about the downfalls of that on YouTube. When somebody watches it, they watch 19 seconds of it and realize they don't want to watch this. They bounce, which affects view time, which affects the algorithm, which affects your channel, which you're screwed.
In every aspect of anything online, not just on YouTube. Bounce rate is everywhere.
Huge.
Yeah. People bouncing, every algorithm out there is going to say.
Yeah. And you guys have heard me talk about this 1,000 times of like even your ads or your audience that you're running ads to for your store, making sure it is as relevant as possible. The content is relevant to that audience, that the ad copy is relevant to what you're trying to do. Like relevancy is number one.
Plain and simple. This is the way the algorithms work is they're going to want to make sure that when you search for something, you get exactly what you want. And if you're not supplying that, those algorithms are going to work against you because that's what Google wants. Google wants when you search for something, you get exactly what you want in that search. And they're going to change that algorithm however they need to make sure that you get what you want.
It's all about the user.
Yeah, it's all about the user. So if you focus on creating user-based content, whether that's on a website, a blog, podcast, YouTube, wherever you're at, you'll win. Long term, you'll win. The rest of them will die. The ones that try to chase the algorithm will never win.
They might have short-term gains from that.
Short-term, they'll lose long-term, though.
Done.
Yep.
And what's really interesting to me is, too, and I've seen this a lot, too, it's like those vanity metrics. Even if somebody watches something for 15 seconds, 5 seconds, it counts as a view. Yeah. If you click that, so there's a lot of videos out there that you're like, this has nothing to do with this academy. It has so many views. Maybe it has 2.7 million views, but it's like, what? Well, that's because it was like some clickbait title that somebody clicked on. Again, 3 seconds counts as is that on YouTube 3 seconds, or is it even just?
I think it's just a click. And used to, they would do it based on clicks. So used to the algorithm did favor click-through rate. So if they offered it up 10 times and it was clicked on 5, they're like, oh, this is great.
Do they not favor click-through rate?
They don't do that anymore.
I've been looking at that recently as a metric to judge my thumbnails. Like, okay, these videos get a higher click-through rate than these videos. Is it because of the title or the thumbnail? And then I try to reverse engineer that.
Click-through rate is very important because it shows that you're doing the right thing.
So, like, it's a indicator of relevancy.
Yes, but it's a secondary metric. So this is the key. So like if me and you create a video, same length video, same title, same everything, and in watch time, you get more watch time than I do because your video is better, right? People, you're holding.
It's because I'm prettier.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You're holding people longer. They're going to look at that metric first, okay, and then they're going to offer that up more often. Now, say somebody else creates a video, it's the same everything. They got the same amount of watch time that you've got, but you have a better click-through rate. Then that's the secondary metric that's now going to bump you ahead of them.
People are more likely to watch that video.
They're gonna also offer it up more because they know the click-through rate is more. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So first, I think the very first, and nobody knows really for sure.
A lot of this is speculation, but it's very kind of data driven.
The number one thing is keep people on the platform as long as you possibly can. That's what they want. They don't want nobody to go nowhere. Facebook's the same way. The longer you can keep somebody on Facebook, the more credit they're going to give you for it. If they click on your video and they watch 3 seconds and then they're out, they're going to be like, we're not offering this video up anymore because it sucks and these people are leaving because of it. Versus if somebody stays and watches that video, and then if you like link another video and they go to that one, like they even give you more credit, and it's one of those things. Thumbnail and click-through rate is a secondary metric. After that, they sort all the videos based on that. Well, then they take the ones that are kind of in the same field.
Right.
The ones that have better click-throughs, they're going to offer those up even more because they want people to click on stuff.
Right. Keep them on the platform.
Yeah. But used to it was only.
I have so much work to do. I don't treat my YouTube like my personal brand, like Tactical Baby Gear, and even that's a whole nother animal. Yeah. Until recently, have we really been taking YouTube seriously because we didn't really have we weren't putting out regular content that was for people to watch. It was just like to host our product videos to embed on the website. And then we did some vlogs for a while, and that became challenging as my kids got older and the house was just chaos and kids screaming and dogs barking.
You know what I would do if I were you guys? I mean,
but the podcast has been popular on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, and I watch it. That's how I watch it. Is on YouTube. And if I ever create one, that's what I'll hope to get to, is the view rate through the YouTube. But I like to watch podcasts. Like I watch Rogan and all those, and
they're good.
Yeah, and you can actually get a secondary level when you're not just listening to it. When you can actually see the interaction.
Yeah, you get a different level of like getting to know that person.
Yeah, it's another level of it's like it's like the third dimension.
Right. It's like you're sitting here, you guys sitting with us at the table having this conversation. It's a different.
How much better Beav looks than me.
I mean, come on, look at that pretty face. It's because I have tattoos.
Yeah, I know, man. We can talk about that too, because I'm a fan of tattoos.
Are you?
I don't have a single one.
What are you doing?
I don't know, man. It's one of those things. It's one of those things. Like, I think if I got one, then it'll be done, because it wouldn't matter.
Right.
But it's like, what do I want? You know?
Yeah.
I look at people's. I'm like, that's awesome. You know, I look at everybody's tattoos. I'm like, I love that work. I follow a bunch of guys online that do nothing but tattoo. You know, I'm like, that's awesome, but I don't know what I would get.
Yeah, I had somebody recently ask on a podcast. Ask a question for the podcast, and they said something about what should they get for their first tattoo. I'm like, if you're asking what you should get, you probably shouldn't get one. Yeah. Like you have to be certain. Like all of mine has deep meaning,
and mine would all have deep meaning too. But it's like even then,
what do you get?
Like what do you get? You know,
sometimes you just have to break the ice,
and it'd have to be one of those things where I see something, I'm like, I love that. Let's do that.
If you decide to one day, you'll know. It'll click. You're like, that's it, done. So you can't change my mind. I'm getting it.
Yeah. And I know I'd be like a full sleeve guy type. You know, it wouldn't just be like one. I'd have to have like a bunch
it's
of
addicting,
artwork.
dude. Yeah. But as you get older, it's more painful. So like, it's gonna suck. Like when you're like 20 something years old, you're like 23. You get like, I used to like fall asleep in the chair, like just getting blasted in something like my arms. For like, you can fall asleep on this, but like. My entire chest is done. My ribs are done from like my armpit down to my waist. That sucked. I bet. All of it.
I bet.
It was awful.
Yeah.
But as you get older, it starts hurting. I got my hands done. And I was like, why did I sign myself up for this? It hurts so bad. Like I love them. And like this one needs to be redone. It's like the ink's all falling out of it. Anyways.
Yeah. So I love them. I'm a huge fan. Not a single one.
Yeah.
So weird, but whatever.
One day.
Yeah, one day maybe.
Is your wife against it, or she didn't care? She's like, whatever.
I talk about it, and she's like, what? But she probably wouldn't care either way. You know, she's not against it. So anyway, where was that?
Well, we were talking about YouTube stuff and the algorithm quite a bit, but I had gotten into like your previous history before you got started, before you really got serious into YouTube and where it is now. So. Let's fast forward to now and what you're up to now. You got 250 something thousand subscribers. You got a big Facebook page.
250 on each. So that's where I'm, and actually Facebook, crazy enough, is actually larger than YouTube now, even though I'm kind of known for YouTube, I guess. And I actually get more views on Facebook.
It's really interesting.
The same video.
I post a lot of my videos on Facebook as well, because I don't want there to be a barrier. Because again, I'm not trying to make money off of this. You know what I mean? Like I am not trying to monetize my YouTube channel. Although recently I've thought about it, because I think the algorithm will favor videos that are monetized.
They want to make money.
They're going to make money off of it. And I don't want to do that, because I've always talked about how I'm not trying to monetize it. I don't want to make money off of it. But I think it's smart, if I want the channel to grow, to monetize that. But I also don't want there to be a barrier to entry for people that want to watch the content. Like for them to go from Facebook to YouTube, when they click a YouTube link, they have to watch this YouTube video inside a Facebook browser, and it's not native to the platform. Right. So you can't rotate it, and no one's going to watch a 10-minute video while they were scrolling through Facebook. So I just posted on Facebook. And then I post them on Instagram, story, IGTV recently, as that's come about. And but you only get 9 minutes, 59 seconds, I think.
Yeah, I haven't played with that.
On IGTV, but it's pushing it. You should really look into that.
I did. I think initially when it first came out, I kind of played with it, and I was like, well,
it was stupid because it was all vertical. Now you can do horizontal video, and you can rotate it and all that. So that was a game changer. They put out an article, and they were like, okay, we've succumbed to like, we get it. People aren't watching vertical video, so we're going to rotate it.
Well, the one thing
you can upload it vertical or horizontal.
The one thing I do like now is they actually IGTV actually starts off as a regular feed post, which
and
I
that's
like.
an option when you upload it.
I like that because
it's kind of the gateway.
I never watched IGTV, but now I'll find myself like clicking to watch more.
Right.
You know,
you get that first minute and then it's like prompts you. Do you want to watch more? Do you not want to watch more? I think it's good. I think that there's some they have some legs with that potentially.
Yeah, I do like that.
But I don't want there to be a barrier for people to consume my content because I'm not trying. I just want to help people.
Yeah.
I want them to do better. I want them to be motivated. I want to inspire them. I want to encourage them. I just want to give them permission to do whatever it is they want to do to get started. So why would I like try to make you jump through hoops to get there?
So you know the way I think about that? And it's because it's more of a mental thing than anything else. The way I look at that is like, look, if you want to help people, being financed can help you help more people.
Of course.
Right? So if you're just doing it specifically because you're afraid people don't want to see your ads, then fine. But the way I look at it is like, look, if I can reach this many people not making any money, but I can reach this many people because I have a backing and I can hire people to help me and whatever the case may be, I would rather help this many people. And then, you know, those few that get jaded by the fact that there's ads on my videos. So what? I'm getting the masses.
Right.
And I might lose
more
a
impact.
couple. Yeah. You're not going to make everybody happy regardless.
Right.
So the way I look at it is like, and I'm very passionate about creation and I just want to inspire people to create. Like me and you are very similar in that way. Like it's about,
there's a lot of synergy.
Yeah. It's about just getting people to go and create something. I truly believe that when you create something, and I've done videos on this, when you create something, it creates this ripple in the universe. So for instance, I create a video about anything. I inspire somebody to do something. That person goes on and creates all kinds of stuff, or 5 of them do that. You create a ripple that kind of goes through the universe and will be here long after you're gone. Like you inspire people, they inspire people, things move, things change. People get, you know, the Bipster might say, you know what? Yeah, that is cool. You know, you can do something other than what's been done for the last 50 years or whatever.
All right. Well, I'm glad you said that because your passion and inspiration, you know, for wanting other people to create things leads us back to where we picked up from before, which was No Small Creator and your experience with Cody and all that stuff. Yeah.
So, you know, my thing is like this whole journey that I've been on as far as the whole social, call it whatever you want. I'm all about experiences. I'm about, you know, networking. I like to talk kind of, you know, we've been talking about, pretty passionate about disruption. Like I love to think about it. I'm not necessarily like a trying to
disruptive guy.
Yeah. I'm not really, I mean, I guess some of the stuff I've done in the past has kind of been along the disruptive side of it, but, more of just a hobby. Like I love to sit with my buddies and talk about what's the next thing to get disrupted. Not that we're going to necessarily act on it.
Right.
But just like to kind of
theorize on it. And like,
just to get those juices flowing in the brain, right? Like, oh yeah, man, that could be, you know, we could go. It could be a whole podcast just on that. But, so anyway, I like to try to reach out to people. I know that when I was coming up, trying to work with other creators that maybe had more subscribers than me, nobody would even
talk to you.
No, they wouldn't even talk to me. They wouldn't want nothing to do with me. Some of those I've since passed. Just side note. So I'd never wanted to be that guy. If I feel like somebody's working, they're doing good work. Not that Cody, me and we're not even the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same thing
of content.
Not even close, which to me is a good thing because it's like
exposes each one of you to a different audience.
It's cross pollination in a way that I wouldn't. So like if you had a channel building hot rods and I had a channel building hot rods, a lot of those people probably already knew both of us.
Right. But my audience probly never heard of you.
Right.
And your audience has no idea who I am.
That's why this is a great, And our audiences are probably very similar, even though they're very similar in demographic.
Right.
You know, and they like the same kind of things probably.
Right.
So anyway, I was just like, you know what? This is a great opportunity. I'm just going to reach out to him, see if he wants, you know, if he can make a little bit of time, we can do like a double vlog or whatever. I wasn't really expecting anything. I just figured I'd reach out to him. And, he didn't have time for me.
No. I've reached out to him several times, never a response.
Yeah.
And listen, I donated a bunch of money to him. He did a West Coast tour like a year ago.
Yeah.
When he was wanting when he was trying to go to the West Coast to collab with other people because he was like being pushed out of his business and was trying to go full-time YouTube,
and he was like in the in-between stage.
Right.
Yeah.
You remember?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
Well, I donated a pretty good amount of money to him on his GoFundMe, and I got a thanks comment or something.
Yeah.
And then since then, I've offered to fly him here to do the podcast. I've done, a bunch of other things and promoted him, and nothing ever. So it's really kind of like,
and maybe there's something there that heck we don't know about. I don't know. I figured though, at least, and maybe
and what's really interesting though is like my content is much more in line with his content than yours would be.
Yeah.
But, and maybe he doesn't see the other side of it of like, I've built a real business that's, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But he maybe doesn't see it that way. And it's almost, is there a double standard there of like, there's no small creator, but you only have this many subscribers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're too small.
It's really interesting. And
I wanted the same thing. And like I said, I didn't expect anything. I don't know how that would have played out and who would have been the benefactor of that meeting. It didn't really matter to me because I was like, hell, we're in the same town, dude.
Yeah. We do the same thing. Yeah.
We do the same thing. How many people do you run across that are on YouTube that try to do this? Very rare. I have nobody.
As many of them out there as there are, like seemingly, and there's a lot of people on YouTube and trying to be YouTubers, but there's very few. And I just met some this past weekend at a birthday party, and they've got like 500,000 subscribers on one channel and another bunch of on another channel. No, they have a cleaning channel.
Oh, really?
And then they have like a family vlog. So this girl, Love Meg is her name, and they have a big business out of it, and they're doing good. And they live in Pooler, which is like Savannah, which is right across the way. And they were we've got a mutual friend. We were at a birthday party, and all the kids were together, and we got to talking. And now I've got a good connection with them, and they've got insights and stuff for and information, and it was just really interesting to talk to them. And I'm not trying to siphon into their audience. It's just like, here's more people to talk about the same platform that everyone's trying to figure out together. What can we all do to help each other out?
Why not? I think that they're so far and few between. It's hard to find anybody. So like I've gone to a couple of YouTube creator conferences, and that first thing they want you to do is try to collab with people, but nobody would ever be in the same. Most people are like in music or they're like in gaming,
right?
They had these boards you'd like write what you do on, and they'd like try to pair you up with people you could collab with. Nobody would be doing anything close to what I was doing,
right? So YouTube creates a lot of these pods, we'll call it, for these channels that are doing similar content, or if you're constantly collaborating with a channel and linking people to their channel on the end screens and in cards and things like that, they link you up with that channel. So like, okay, this channel and this channel are the same pod.
They probably do it based on subscribers too. They probably look at the subscribers and see if they have a bunch of the same ones already.
Right.
Yep.
People that are likely to watch this are also going to watch this, keeps you on the platform, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really interesting too, because, and you touched on this before we started the podcast, of like getting into a pod that you can't get out of.
Yep.
What was your experience with that?
Well, I don't know.
I just suspect
that
that's happened maybe because your growth is kind of stunted recently.
Growth is because
are there a lot of other channels that do what you do? I don't really pay attention to
I don't know of any that do exactly like what I do. Obviously there's a lot of, so you have your the younger guys, the TJ Hunts, the Adam LZ. I don't know if you guys are familiar with any of those guys.
I don't watch any other fab stuff other than yours.
So, and they don't do much fab. They're just more of car stuff.
Okay.
There's a channel out of out on the West Coast, B is for Build. He does like a lot of where he'll buy cars from Copart that are maybe wrecked, and then he like rebuilds them. And he's done some really good work. I follow his stuff. He just did a SEMA build that he got hated on based on the kind of fabricate, because it wasn't, top of the notch fabrication. People were hating on him, and it turned out beautiful. Like, he did a great job. I was pretty impressed.
Everyone's got something to say.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And so like maybe he's the closest kind of to what I do. But I'm so far out there as far as like.
So let me touch on this, because you don't claim to be, like, you're self-taught. Yep. You don't claim to be an expert in any of the things that you talk about, but you're just documenting it along the way. And you always say like, hey, there's probably other ways to do this. This is how I do it. Yeah. And maybe that's honestly kind of opening it up for discussion in the comments, right? Which is good for the algorithm. Like, let me know how you guys do it or whatever.
I think the way my approach is, even if I felt like I was the best on the planet, I'd never approach it like
you're humble. You're just,
it's not even a humble thing. I think it's more of like, I don't want to deter somebody from trying it themselves. You know, if it's like, oh, you got to be, you know, I got 18 years experience, you know, you got to put in the work. I don't want to be that guy. Mm-hmm. I want to be like, I want to make it look so easy that somebody goes out and buys a bead roller and they start rolling their own panels, right?
Right.
Because I mean, really, it's not that hard.
It's not.
I definitely don't want to come across like it's the hardest thing and you need to be, you know, even if there is a learning curve to it, I'm like, look, you can figure this out.
Yeah.
We all
screw up a couple panels,
screw up some stuff.
A few hours later, you'll know what you're doing.
Yeah. It's kind of like we talked about. Move. Mm-hmm. Just move. Like, if you think you have an interest in metal shaping, go buy an English wheel.
Right. Go to
Worst
Harbor
case,
Freight.
You can sell that son bitch down the road. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if that kind of interests you in any way, just go.
So what I wanted to hit on with that, though, is like, you don't claim to be an expert in it. You're just documenting what you're building and giving people advice and tips on how to use these tools and all this kind of stuff along the way, which kind of has inherently made you the expert in a way to a lot of people. Like, oh, Kyle says to do it this way, I'm doing it that way. I trust him. It's built trust in your community because you're showing them how to do something that's obviously working because they see the finished result, or like, oh man, that turned out sweet. That's all I have to do. Okay. He says there's 10 other ways to do it, but I'm going to do it his way. So that's kind of made you the expert in your community. So how was that turned into, you have a lot of people reaching out to you to do work?
Well, I do have some people reaching out to me to do work. And I think a lot of people do think I do the work as a business, where I kind of see myself more of my business is to create content, not to create products.
But it's like, it's almost a lead generation tool though. So what I'm getting at is a lot of people that are just trying to like figure something out or are an expert in massage therapy, let's say. And if they had a YouTube channel talking about massage therapy and how to do it and what to do,
how they become
the expert in that, which then people are like, well, they clearly know what they're doing.
For sure.
I'm going to get a massage from them.
For sure. That it would definitely work like that. Cause I feel pretty confident that I could open up a fabrication business right now based on a lot of the content that I've got out there, and I could probably get instant work.
Yeah. I mean, that's where, so that's where what's really funny about this is when I got out of the automotive industry was at the peak of my career, and it wasn't really it didn't really start peaking until social media really started to mature and I could get my name out there on a more national and worldwide basis because of Instagram, especially. Really not so much YouTube. Had I known more about YouTube sooner, I would have done more videos about the builds. And even in my repair shop, I would have showed people like, hey, if you have a Honda and your check engine light is on and it's acting like this, here's the 3 things you should check. It's going to be one of these 3 things. And I would have pushed that out to my local community. And then all of a sudden I would have been the expert more so than I was already in that field. And it would have generated even more business than it did already, because people would have been like, well, I could take the time to figure this out at my home in my garage, but he clearly knows what he's talking about. It just builds trust.
Take it to him, and the fact that he told me this for nothing makes me trust him.
Right. Yeah. Like, he's not trying to steal my money.
You know what's crazy kind of on that point, and I've kind of seen this within the fabrication, hot rod, drag racing industry, is that people feel like there's more value when they have to take something to someone far away. I'll give you an example. There's a guy locally to me that builds drag racing chassis, does great work. He's good. We have a drag racing community around there. Everybody knows him. Nobody lets him do their work on their chassis. They take them off somewhere. All of his work comes from people who bring it in from somewhere outside. so weird. Backwards. Yes. Well, it's because you feel like there's more value
when you take it to.
It's more mysterious. Oh,
Atlanta
I got to take this up north to let so and so work on it. When you got a guy in your backyard that does the same thing.
Yeah. It's so weird.
It is. It's such a weird dynamic. But I've seen that. I don't know. I think it's more of like kind of comes down to like the beer thing we were talking about.
Yeah. Supply and demand, and like kind of like the scarcity.
It's like, oh yeah, this beer's out of New York.
Right.
Whereas if it was like in my backyard, that's just
it's
the beer.
Nothing special.
That's just the beer place up the road. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's probably something to be said for
even
that.
though the
It's
guys
really
in New York are like, oh man, this beer's out of South Carolina.
Right,
You
right,
know?
right.
So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm sure there's something there.
So back to Cody, like I was like, I hit him up. I was like, hey dude, let's do something. I know you're in town. I'm in town, like 5 minutes. And, you know, maybe, and I hit him up on Instagram. And so maybe he didn't know I was on YouTube. I don't know. I don't know how that works. You know, for me, I look at everybody, even like new followers.
Yeah, you go to the profile.
I go to the profile. I mean, not everyone.
A lot.
But a lot.
The ones that seem interesting, you're like, all right.
I'll do my due diligence, you know, like I don't want to
You
like.
never know. I get people
know.
that follow, like, I've got huge celebrities
Yeah.
that follow like Tactical Baby Gear. Like you would never know because like you don't recognize their name.
Steve Harvey, he follow you?
Yeah. or so I get followed by one day by what's her name on Instagram? Mimi Calloway or something like that. And I'm like, who the heck is that?
Yeah.
I click on it. It's Michelle McCool Calloway, who's a WWE superstar diva. She's a chick, and her husband is The Undertaker.
Sweet.
Well, so then a month ago, I'm out hanging out with The Undertaker, shooting machine guns and shooting shit and doing all this stuff with like she followed, like, you know, it's just interesting because that sparked a conversation. I reached out to her and I was like, hey, you know, Actually, she reached out to me. I think it was a DM. I don't even think it was a follow that I saw. It was a DM that I saw. And I almost, you know, I get so many DMs that you kind of breeze through them a little bit.
Yep.
You hit the ones that are important. You're like, I'll circle back to these when I have a few minutes. And it was like, because it was some question. Usually when it's a question, it's somebody that wants something for free.
Yep.
And it's like this very one-sided me thing.
If you send it to me, I'll X. Yeah.
And that's kind of what it was around, but it wasn't quite that bad. And I almost disregarded it. But then I clicked on her profile and I was like, oh, you have like a million followers and you're like somebody, and this is very interesting. And it's just so crazy, the opportunities that social media present to you, that like there's things happening in the world right now that were never available to our parents, to our grandparents, the opportunities that we have now. And there's so many people sitting at home complaining about how bad they have it when they've got the power, all of it right here.
For sure.
It's so frustrating.
I spoke on that.
Start.
Yep. When I went to Austria, it was the same deal. I was kind of telling them, you know, I'm like, look, you guys, that's all you need right there. You know, brand
well, so
awareness.
many people are like, I want to create a video, but I have to buy a camera.
Nope. Yep. Matter of fact, you can almost do better stuff on that than most cameras.
And it's not because the camera is so great, but like the technology, the software behind the camera is incredible. I mean, it's a great camera.
What I find is that you can have the best camera, but there's so many bells and whistles that you have to have adjusted just right. And if you don't, it makes it worse than it would be if
these are dummy proof.
Yeah, dummy proof.
They really are.
Yeah.
And a lot of time, it's not the camera that matters. It's the story. It's the content. It's what you're putting out there, what you're talking about that matters far more than the camera does.
Well, we talked about too, barrier to entry. Like I try to focus on what allows me to make the most amount of content. And carrying around a big camera, sometimes I talk myself out of making content. Versus a phone, you're more likely to pull that thing out and vlog in Home Depot or on the street or wherever. You always have it with you. It may not be the best sound, it may not be the best image, but you're going to do it.
Right.
Versus so many times I get out with my big camera
and people are like looking and pointing.
Well, not even that, but I just talk myself out of doing it.
Right.
Like I bring my camera, I'm like, yeah, I'll make this cool video, and then I never film.
Right.
Well, guess what? I get back with the footage I do get, and I'm like, shit, I can't make a video out of this.
Well, that's why I started like documenting more. Instead of trying to create a video, I've just been documenting. And you guys have seen it in my recent vlogs where that's where I started. And then that became a problem because I didn't have enough people around me to help film. And I was super busy and I wasn't thinking about it. And then I would make like specific days to like, all right, Wednesday's going to be a vlog day. And then I was like, all right, what am I going to vlog about? There needs to be a topic to it. There needs to be And I've like I set aside a bunch of like, I'm not taking meetings. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I have to talk about something for the vlog. Shoot, what do I talk about? And then it's like almost forced and a little bit less authentic versus having one of these guys carry the camera around, film my day. It takes longer to edit.
After it happens, you're like, that's golden.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's the 4 minutes of takeaway. This is the golden moment of the day.
Yep.
I'll share it with everybody. And there's been another side of it too, where I got with my wife's family. They've been doing a lot of stuff with like ancestry.com and like finding out more about her grandfather who died and all this stuff. But I've got grandfathers who died too that like before I was born and never got to meet them, and they did incredible things. And there's so much stuff now that like we're trying to document stuff from her dad, and I've got stuff from my step grandfathers that are just really cool stories. And I'm realizing more and more, like now my focus for the vlog is almost shifting. Like I've got a different reason to do it now. It's because like I wish more than anything that I had videos, recordings, more photos, more documentation, more letters, something from my grandfathers and great grandfathers, because they built massive things. Like my grandfather built a massive company with 300+ employees and made a huge impact in the world and all these things. I never got to meet him.
Yep.
But like I know the story. I know how it played out. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, you wish you could watch it.
But if I could go back and watch YouTube videos of him doing that the whole time, dude, I don't even care what my audience would think of it. It's what my kids and my grandkids and my and the impact I can leave as a legacy to my future generation of family.
Have you got to the point yet where you watch your old vlogs and you see your kids young and you're like, oh man, I remember it?
Well, that's
because I do that all the time.
Well, even like Facebook memories, when it's like shows you a video from 3 years ago and you're like, oh, or my wife pulls out a picture of this and you're like, or like the other day she pulled out, I had a spreadsheet in the house that was like our like monthly budget.
Yep.
That we had pinned up in the house to make sure we didn't spend too much on groceries or this or that, because we were scraping by. And like at the end of the month, like on my budget, we only had like an extra $100 a month. And it was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're like scraping by. And it's like, I wish I was vlogging during those times and documenting that to show people like how far I've come just by doing the work, you know? And that was only like 4 years ago.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like if you just keep going, but like documenting it.
It's like my early videos, you know, I'm wearing like, I was in the management world and I had all my videos. I have like a button up.
Nuh-uh.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm like all proper.
No way.
Today I'm going to show you this, you know,
that's amazing.
Versus like, it's Friday, fool.
You know, like need this tool.
Like it's so crazy how things have changed.
Yeah.
Like now I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
So like my perspective of like why I'm vlogging now is really like started to shift even more. And like it's easier to document it and it's more authentic than trying to force some topic that's trending on YouTube and try to catch that wave. Because I just don't want to play that game. And we already talked about that, so I won't beat a dead horse. But just like documenting it, because there's some golden nugget to take out of it. My kids and my grandkids will get to watch this and like, man, Grandpa Beav was cool as crap. And
you know
like,
what? And even if
it's so cool, dude.
Even if that doesn't happen though,
and someone else will get something out of it too. But
and just to look back, just to document your life in general. Because I mean, I look through video. My wife, she doesn't really feel the most comfortable on camera.
Neither does mine.
And that's
why you don't see her in any video.
Yeah, that's normal. Everybody, listen, anybody that thinks that you want to sit in front of a camera, nobody, I don't care who you are. It's never natural in the beginning. And it's not even necessarily natural as you go, but it gets to where you
how many times do you go to start a video and you're like, oh God, the camera just started recording. What do I say now? I still do it. I did it earlier when I introed the vlog. I was like, nah, let's do it again.
Yeah. So I mean, it's never natural. You kind of get to where you're more comfortable with it. In the beginning, it's weird. It sucks, whatever. You just got to push through. I tell people all the time, like, they're like, oh, I want to start a YouTube channel. What do I need to do? I said, this is my advice to everybody. Put your head down, make 100 videos. Don't look at subscribers. Don't look at views. Don't look at comments. Don't look at nothing. Make 100 videos. When you get 100 videos made, look up, because this is what you're going to find. You're going to find that you acquire a cadence. You acquire an editing strategy.
You're learning.
And the only way to learn
is doing.
And you're going to have to do a lot of it. So if you try to figure it out in the first 3 videos, you're not going to do it.
No.
You need to start cranking them out. Boom, boom, boom. Then you're going to find your style. You're going to find what works for you. You're going to find your comfortableness in front of the camera. You're going to figure that out. And you're not going to figure that out till you get 100 videos.
100%.
Don't worry about it not growing. The other thing about YouTube is the more content you have out there floating around, the more likely you are to be discovered. And if they discover one video they don't like it, guess what? Though YouTube's going to offer up a bunch of other videos that you've done. Right. And they might find one that really hits home.
For sure. And you've heard me say it, and I know that you are on the same boat of like, it just takes one video. Yep. Do you have one video?
Listen, I have one video I'm not proud of that is my biggest video. And this is just speaks to exactly what we're talking about. I was sitting in the house one day and I was like, I need to create a video for this week. I try to put out like 2 videos a week. And used to, I wasn't building projects. It was like I was just making something.
Just some random little trinket.
Whatever, yeah. Bottle opener, whatever. So I'm sitting in the house and I'm like, man, I need to make a video this week. What could I do? And no shit, I'm on Pinterest. Like just looking at, you know, this kind of stuff that comes through Pinterest, you know? And I ran across some brass knuckles that were made out of nuts.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Big.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's cool.
Like nut and bolt nuts.
Yeah. Nut and bolt nuts. I was like, man, I could do that. And I'm not like a brass knuckle kind of guy.
It was cool.
No, I was like, you know what? I could do that and make a shifter handle out of it.
Yeah.
It kind of fits what I do, and it's kind of cool and whatever. So I go out in the garage. I make this like super cheesy video making this brass knuckle thing. I thought it would be nothing. I literally thought it would get me some. It would be some content.
You were just checking the box for a video that week. I was just checking the box.
It was not like this thing I thought I was going to go viral. It was literally something I was just making to satisfy my current subscribers for that week, right? Largest video I've ever made, millions of views.
It's always the ones you don't least expect it.
The thing
every
is,
time.
Money-wise though, did nothing because it's such a topic. It wasn't demonetized, but it is brass knuckles. I mean, nobody wants to advertise on a video.
Got it.
You know,
but it doesn't matter because you're getting
right.
the eyeballs. So, you know, and it's the point that I'm always beating this dead horse of like, you never know when it's going to be. If you keep creating content and you keep uploading and you keep posting and you keep tweeting, whatever that is that you're into, like it just takes one that really changes the course of things to kind of put you on. So just keep going.
Yep. So, and I think about it like this too, like that video probably did nothing subscriber based for me. Like people don't watch that video and like, oh, I'm subscribing to him. But
did it feed him a few more videos?
Yes, it did feed him a few more videos, and some of those videos may have gained subscribers, right? And you don't know because they don't tell you that stuff in the analytics. You can't really follow that trail, but it's top of funnel, as you talk about all the time.
All the time.
That video is a top of funnel. It gets people like watched it. They're going to offer up my videos for probably the next couple of weeks, depending on if they click on something or not. And at some point, they saw something else that maybe was a little bit better content wise, a little bit better, you know, maybe maybe a newer video or whatever. Like it doesn't matter. And that's why I say, not even if you want to be a YouTuber, if you have a business, whatever, you just have to create content. You got to put it out there to the world, and so much of that stuff at some point will circle back around and you'll see those people later. You're never going to get the sale or the subscribe or whatever don't think you're going to get it the first time around, right?
So to keep creating content, I want to hit on this point too. You've created a series on your channel that you've kind of slowed down with because you ran out of tools, but he's got a series on his channel called It's Friday, Fool, You Need This Tool. And it's the best intro ever. It's like, it's so well branded with your intro that like, I can't even say it with like,
it's not smiling
without like kind of sort of saying it like you.
What he's not telling you too is I'm like over the top. It's definitely a character.
Yeah.
Like my regular videos.
Let's hear it. Do it. Come on.
It's Friday, fool. You need this tool. And then the intro will be, welcome back to the glorious episode of It's Friday, Fool. You Need This Tool. My name is Kyle Voss, and every Friday I bring you a tool that I feature on this channel or that I've
used in this shop before. Or something like that. Yeah.
So story kind of behind that. And you know what's crazy? This will kind of bring it all back too. Anytime I'm in public and somebody sees me and they don't want to necessarily come up and say, hey, you know, I'll hear, it's Friday, fool.
No way.
Yeah, all the time.
That's so and it's such a good idea. Yes. So that's why I wanted to kind of bring it up, is because like when you're trying to feed the machine with content, and it's hard, dude, being creative and like thinking of new ideas is very, very difficult. So that's why I bring up this series, because it's like, okay, every Friday I can create a video about a tool that I use. Mm-hmm. I use lots of different tools. This shouldn't be very difficult. It's an easy fallback. It's easy to, let's call it, check that box. So, you know, I wanted to let these guys know that like to create content, to feed that machine, to keep going, like create something that's like almost a renewable resource. Like you can create videos around or content around for a long time without thinking too hard about it.
Really, that series has been one of probably the best things I think I've ever done. And it was such a spur of the moment deal. And it was, like you said, it revolved really around something easy to make content. Like I was like, man, it'd be easy to do tool video, and I can literally knock that edit out and that or video out in 15 minutes, and the edit's super fast too because it's just
right 30, 45 minutes.
I'm just cutting it all up.
Yeah,
and
it's like a one take almost. And you're just cutting stuff out of it.
And I actually
the music.
The style of it is like that. So that was like I was like, okay, that's plus number one. I can create content every Friday, and I can tell people it's a Friday thing. 2, I was like, you know what? Maybe if this gets big enough, tool companies will start recognizing me, and maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll send me something free or, you know, whatever. I wasn't really counting on that, but I'm like, you know what? Maybe.
It'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe. And then the last thing was, you know, it would give me a way. I had a lot of questions about some of the tools that I would use on the channel. They were like not normal tools, like a Cleco. Most people don't know what a Cleco is.
Odd stuff that you see you using. They're like, what?
Yeah,
aircraft is this thing?
Aircraft rivets. You know, everybody knows a pop rivet, but maybe not an aircraft rivet, or some kind of weird.
The process of how to use it and use the air hammer.
Yep. And so when I would create those videos using those tools, it never failed. I'd have 40 comments that were like, "What is that tool? Where'd you get it? Blah blah blah." And so used to, I'd have to type out those comments. Excuse me. If I wanted to respond to every one, I'd have to type out those or cut and paste or whatever. Every one of them. I'm like, you know what? If I made a video. And in the beginning, it was definitely those ones I had the most comments on. So I was like, if I just made a video on this, describing it, showing how it works, it'd be way better than me posting this in the comments. And I could take I could get more views. I could just take that link and post it in those comments, and it would feed. It would be an easy way to feed those.
Keep them in the loop.
Yeah, keep them in the loop. And I'd have a library where I could go back. You know, I didn't, you know, that thing you used that punched the hole in there, where'd you get that? And I could just literally go back through my thing, search it.
Copy, paste.
Yep.
Check it out.
So there was like 3 reasons I did it, and every one of them worked out perfect.
That's awesome.
I could literally wake up Friday morning, 15 minutes, film that video, maybe an hour edit, same stupid music every week. You know,
is it the same music every time?
Every time.
I don't know if I've ever noticed that. That's how much. That's how little things like that matter. Like I spend so much time looking for music for videos, and I'm like, I've already used this song, I can't use it.
Yep. And I'm so jaded by music. I've been burnt so many times.
On copyright stuff?
Yeah, even like Epidemic.
Yeah.
I just got a copyright claim today on Epidemic.
Dude, I got one on a podcast. I'm like, I pay for you.
Yeah, how does that work? So
yeah,
that's another thing. Yeah. I actually got a guy that creates music for me now.
Oh, cool.
Like he cuts it in his like little home studio. And
that's cool.
Yeah.
So you're big time. You've made it, dude. You have made it now.
After being burnt, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, it was like a silly kind of thing that it was an easy way for me to make content. And it goes back to the whole move thing.
Yeah.
Just do, and some of that stuff will get out and be bigger than you ever thought it would be.
I think the biggest thing for people to keep in mind with that too is just staying authentic. Like don't just do to do, but do because you want to.
Yeah. Some people hate the over the top nature of that series, but more people love the fact that it's over the top than they hate it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've even made some apparel that's like says it's Friday Fool.
Dude, I think it's the best.
Yeah. And you know where that comes from?
No.
And I've kind of talked about it before, but not very much. When I was trying to come up, so you remember Friday, the movie Friday?
Yeah.
It's Friday, fool.
You ain't got no job.
Yeah.
You ain't got.
I'm gonna get you. Like that's where that come from. Really? It's Friday, fool. That was kind of the idea behind it.
That is so funny.
You need this tool.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you high. That's hilarious. That's so funny.
And then I get, you obviously get the comments like, I ain't no fool. Well, it's entertainment. If you don't get that, then
I'm gonna chill out.
I hate it for you.
Yeah.
You live a miserable life.
Awesome, dude. I don't have any more questions for you. Do you have any questions for me?
Man, I can't remember what we've talked about.
Everything. We've talked about. Is there anything that you think I have any knowledge about for your business or business model that I can help with?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's all kinds of stuff I could ask you about, like Shopify side, right? Because like my whole business is Shopify. My whole clothing side of the business is all Shopify stuff. So I know you're way more knowledgeable on that than I am, but like on the spot, I can't really.
Cool. Well, maybe we'll answer some of those questions, and it'll be in the vlogs. So make sure you guys let them know where they can find you.
At the Fab Forums everywhere, like everywhere except for Snapchat. It's Voss Performance on Snapchat. But and I'm not really like a huge Snapchat guy anyway. But at the Fab Forums on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I've got a Twitter thing. I'm not really a Twitter guy. I know I probably need to try to work on that a little bit, but. I've just started doing LinkedIn stuff, the V-Man talks about that a lot. And so I'm like, I'm going to try it out and see what, so that's pretty good.
It's so hard to be on so many different platforms and manage all of it.
Well, and I hate LinkedIn because they limit you to a 10-minute video.
Oh,
so
really?
I can't just post the same content over there. I have
But
to,
you
like,
can post
shrink
the
it.
link to YouTube, can't you not?
Oh, maybe.
I bet you
haven't
could. I
tried
bet
that.
they won't banish that like Facebook does.
Yeah, I haven't tried that, but you know, I really need to be there, especially if I want to. You know, it's just such a weird thing for me because I've never like went after companies. Mm-hmm. I've always just kind of let them come to me. I'm not really I hate sales with a passion, and I know it's like
It's so
the
important.
backbone to everything.
It's tough, man, because anyways, we can get into
But it goes
more of
back to where my thing is. I'm like, you know what? If I can get so big they can't ignore me, I won't have to sell.
It'll come to you.
It'll come to me.
And that's kind of my philosophy as well.
Yeah,
But,
and you're doing it for the right reasons at that point too.
right.
You know, I think so many people go after brands long before they're ready, or they can provide value. Because that's my thing is every deal I've ever went into, I want to make sure I bring more value to that company than I'm getting out of the deal, because I want them to be like, man, we need to work. I want to work with him again.
Yeah.
And I'm also about
going above and beyond.
Yeah.
You got to be careful with that too, because you kind of set this level of expectation.
I'm okay with it though. I'm okay with leaving a bunch on the table. Even when I work with Fronius welders.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I love about them is they're such a family. So they flew me to Portage, Indiana, which is where their headquarters is for the U.S. Went up there, and I got up there, I was like, man, they're going to be like telling me how much better their stuff is than everybody else. And you know, the normal, it's trying to sell me on their product.
We have the best welder on the planet.
We have the best welder, and this is why. The first 2 days, they didn't talk anything about welders. It was about the family of Fronius and what they believe in, their culture. There was more important to them for me to buy into what they believe in and their culture and their ethics and all.
Sell you on how awesome.
Than to try to sell me. And they told me, they're like, look, we know how good our welders are, and they'll sell themselves. We don't need to tell you that.
Right.
We want you to believe in what we believe in, and if you aren't like we are when it comes to that side of it, we're not really interested in dealing with you anyway. They didn't say that, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
it wouldn't be any different than you want to make sure the man spot, right? He's a great dude. You know him personally, right? You'd work with him because he is who he is, not because of the following he has.
Right.
Right. And if he was anybody other than who he says he is, you'd be like, yeah, it's tempting, but we're not down for that.
Right. Yeah. It has to be
So I'm the same way with brands. I'm like,
if it's not a good fit.
Yeah. And I'll wait. You know, I've had several CNC plasma table companies hit me up, and I'm like, nope, I'll wait.
Really?
I want the right company. I want them to be.
You know who
you
have your eye on.
I got a couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and it'll come.
Cool.
I gotta get bigger.
Good for you.
Keep growing, right?
Guys, make sure you go follow Kyle Voss at the Fab Forums on all the places he discussed: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Make sure you subscribe, because he's got a vlog that we're doing today. I'm doing a vlog on this, so hopefully we get some other really good information coming out of our day together. Kyle, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you, dude.
Hey, when I start the podcast,
yeah,
you're gonna have to come up north.
100%.
Yeah.
Doing it. Up. I'm in.
Hit the country.
I'll be number one.
Listen, I got a range in the backyard.
Yes, that's right.
So
awesome.
Make it happen.
All right, guys, make sure you hit like and subscribe on all the platforms that you're listening to or watching this video. Leave a review if you would, please. I would greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.